Hola y bienvenidos a Learn Spanish en SpanishDict.com. Soy Paralee Whitmer y soy tu profesora. Hoy aprenderás de las fiestas y los objetos directos e indirectos como se lo da, me la cuento y mucho más. ¡Vámonos! Vale, en la última lección aprendiste de los días festivos y el futuro informal, ¿no? Hoy, you will use what you learned about the simple present to talk about parties. And parties are a great place to practice your storytelling skills. But you know when you are telling someone a story and you have to keep repeating something over and over? Like, John gives the cake to Jamie. Jamie gives the cake to Albus. Albus gives the cake to Aaron. In English, we have a way of making things shorter than they need to be if the information has already been presented. Instead of saying the cake in every single sentence, we would just use it, right? John gives the cake to Jamie. Jamie gives it to Albus. Albus gives it to Aaron. Fácil, ¿no? Pues en español, you can take it a step further and replace all the names with one single word, kind of like it. Let's take that first sentence. John gives the cake to Jamie and put it into español really quick. Juan da el pastel a Jaime. Now we can start asking some questions about this sentence. What does John give to Jamie? El pastel. So we know that this is our direct object. A direct object is the noun in a sentence that receives the direct action from a verb. If you have trouble finding the direct object, write out. Read the sentence, then read it like a question after the verb. Juan da el pastel a Jaime. John gives the cake to Jamie. Juan da ¿qué a Jaime? John gives what to Jamie? John gives the cake to Jamie, so that is your direct object. But you need to know the direct object pronouns before we can go any further, right? Of course, there is a direct object pronoun for each personal pronoun that you already know. If I am the direct object in a sentence, you would use the word me in English, right? Like the sentence, Selena sees me. In Espanol, the direct object pronoun for me is me. Spelled the same, but pronounced in Espanol. Now, if you are the direct object, like Selena sees you, you would use the indirect object pronoun te. Very similar to the personal pronoun tú, but te tells the reader or listener that you are a direct object and not the subject. Nice distinction that Spanish has that English does not. Moving on to the third person singular. You are going to have two indirect object pronouns for four different direct objects. You formal, he, she, and it. So, for singular masculine of any of those people or things, you will use lo. And if it is singular and feminine, you're going to use la. It just depends on the gender of the object. Now, moving on to the plural side. If Selena sees us, you would replace it in Espanol with nos, a nice shortened version of the personal pronoun nosotros. If Selena sees you all, in Espanol only of course, you would use os. And the third person also has two forms, just like the singular third person. The plural masculine would be los, and plural feminine, las. You will use these when the direct object is you plural or them. Now, the cake is the third person since it's not me and it's not you. So is el pastel singular or plural? Singular. And is it feminine or masculine? Masculine. You can tell because its definite article is el. So, looking at our chart of direct object pronouns, which one are we going to use if el pastel is singular and masculine in the third person? Lo. Back at our sentence, we just need to replace the whole direct object, which includes the definite article el, with lo. So our new shorter sentence is Juan da lo a Jaime. Well, almost. When you use a direct object pronoun in a sentence in Espanol, you need to put the pronoun in front of the verb. So now we have a new shorter sentence. Juan lo da a Jaime. Again, this is almost the complete version of our shorter sentence. There are still some things we need to work on, but we'll get to those in just a minute. For now, let's get you practicing with direct object pronouns. I'll give you some pictures with sentences involving direct objects. Remember, the direct object is what receives the action of the verb. But first, let's practice replacing some nouns with direct object pronouns. Let's do one of them together, and then you're on your own. ¿Listo? What is the direct object pronoun for la piñata? Is la piñata I, you, he, she, or it? It's singular or plural? Is it feminine or masculine? So you're going to use la, the feminine singular in the third person. Es todo, te toca. Nosotros. What is the direct object pronoun that you would use for nosotros? Nos. And for él? Lo. And for el papel picado? ¿Qué es el pronombre para el objeto directo para el papel picado? Lo. And ¿qué es el pronombre para el objeto directo para tú? Te. ¿Y qué es el pronombre para ellos? Los. ¿Y para ella? La. ¿Y qué es el pronombre para unos gatitos? Los. Y finalmente, ¿qué es el pronombre para unas muñecas? Las. Bien, súper fácil, ¿no? Ahora con frases completas. I'm going to read you some full sentences, and I want you to find the direct object. Replace it with the direct object pronoun, and then read the whole thing aloud. Por ejemplo, Martín tiene los globos. Martin has the balloons. So, what is our question going to be so that we know what the direct object is? Martín has what? Martín has los globos. So, los globos is the direct object. Now, is los globos feminine or masculine? Masculine. And is it singular or plural? Plural. So what is the direct object pronoun for masculine plural nouns? Los. Now, all you have to do is take away los globos and put los in front of the verb. Which word in this sentence is the verb? Tiene. So let's put los in front of tiene and say it aloud. Martín los tiene. Ready? Tienes las luces. Las tienes. Sofía tiene la cámara. Sofía la tiene. Ana come un pastelito. Ana lo come. Tiran las serpentinas. Las tiran. Antonio saca fotos. Antonio las saca. Remember, fotos is just short for fotografías, which is feminine, so your pronoun will be las. Aaron, apaga las velas del pastel de cumpleaños. Aaron las apaga. Much shorter, right? Because las velas del pastel de cumpleaños means birthday cake candles. So you have to replace the entire phrase with las. ¡Qué bien! Vale, pienso que entiendes los objetos directos. Ahora pasamos a los objetos indirectos. Indirect objects are the recipients of direct objects. So let's look at our very first sentence again. Juan da el pastel a Jaime. We already know the objeto directo es el pastel because we asked the question, what? To find the objeto indirecto, just ask the question, to whom? Juan da el pastel to whom? A Jaime. So Jaime is our indirect object since he is the one receiving the cake. You can also tell who the indirect object is going to be because it will have a or para in front of the noun. A Jaime, or el pastel es para Jaime. The cake is for Jamie. Now, remember how I said Juan lo da a Jaime was not exactly correct? That's because whenever there is an indirect object, you have to include an indirect object pronoun. Always. So let's go over los pronombres de objetos indirectos. Of course, there's one for each person, singular and plural, but there are no gender differences here. And the pronouns for indirect objects are the same for the first and second person, so you already know those. Me, to or for me, and the phrase you'll be replacing with me will be a mí or para mí. When me is the indirect object, you don't use a yo, but me, a mí. In the second person, you'll use te, to or for you. The same goes for when you use you as an indirect object. You won't use tú, but rather ti, a ti, or para ti. You'll use nos, to or for us. You'll see just a regular a nosotros or para nosotros here. For the second person plural, if you're in España, you'll use os, to or for you plural. And you'll just be replacing a vosotros or para vosotros. Then you only have to add two more. Le for third person singular, meaning to or for him, to or for her, or to or for it. A él, a ella, or a, and then any noun. And then les for third person plural, meaning to or for you plural, or to or for them. A o para ellos, a o para ellas, or a o para, then any plural noun. So, in our sentence, Juan lo da a Jaime, we know we need to add the indirect object pronoun for a Jaime somewhere in this sentence. But first, do you know which indirect object pronoun we're going to use that means to or for him? Le. So let's put it in the sentence. Juan lo da a Jaime le. Now, that sounds a little weird, doesn't it? That's because le isn't in the right place. Indirect object pronouns always go in front of the verb. But when there's already a direct object pronoun in front of the verb, then the indirect object pronoun goes in front of that. Juan le lo da a Jaime. Still sounds a little weird to me. Try to say that 3 times fast and you might tie your tongue in a knot. So, Spanish speakers, being the smarties they are, came up with a great idea. If you have both an indirect and direct object pronoun next to each other, and they both start with the letter L, then you change that first L to an S. Juan se lo da a Jaime. And if you want to shorten it up even more, just take off a Jaime. Juan se lo da. Remember how I said that when there's an indirect object, there must always be an indirect object pronoun? I hope so. This is true here. Something to note, though, is that while you have to have the indirect object pronoun, you don't necessarily have to have the indirect object phrase. If you already knew that we were talking about giving something to Jamie, then you wouldn't keep saying his name over and over. You would just say to him, le, Or in this case, se. Juan se lo da. Now, that sounds much better, and so short too. Let's try a few together using other indirect object pronouns. If I wanted to say that Juan gives me the cake instead of Jaime, which indirect object pronoun would I use to say to me? Me. Juan me da el pastel. What about Juan gives a puppy to you? Te. Juan te da un perrito. What about Juan gives some coffee mugs to us? Nos. Juan nos da unas tazas de café. And finalmente, Juan gives some earrings to them. Les. Juan les da unos aretes. Think you're getting the hang of this? Maybe try a few using both direct and indirect object pronouns. I'll start you off slowly, and then we'll speed up. Ready? Ana da un reloj a mí. First, what is the direct object? What is Ana giving? Un reloj. And the indirect object phrase? To whom is Ana giving this reloj? A mí. Great. Now, the singular masculine direct object pronoun for un reloj? Lo. And the indirect object pronoun for a mí? Me. Now just put them in the right order. Subject, Ana. Indirect object pronoun, me. Direct object pronoun, lo. And then the verb, da. Ana me lo da. Try these on your own. I'll show you the direct and indirect object phrases, so all you have to do is replace them with the pronouns and put them in the right order. Yo tiro el confeti a ti. Yo te lo tiro. And you can make it even shorter by taking off the yo, since tiro ends in o, you already know who the subject is. Te lo tiro. Tenemos una barbacoa para ti. Te la tenemos. Now, try one where both pronouns start with L. Ricardo da el collar a Lisa. Ricardo se lo da. Perfecto! Es todo para hoy. You can practice everything you learned in this lesson at SpanishDict.com/learn. There you'll find all of the picture flashcards for the vocabulary in this lesson, as well as the games, quizzes, the forum, and video chat. If you enroll in the course, you can keep track of your points and compare yourself to others on the leaders board. And if you have any questions about direct object pronouns, indirect object pronouns, or using both types of pronouns together in the same sentences, make sure you check out the reference section at SpanishDict.com/reference. There you'll find all kinds of information that I'm sure you'll love to learn. Until next time, hasta luego y adiós.